Somewhere between the edge of being alive and feeling dead.
Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today we're making a video about electric vehicle software. Specifically, we're going to talk about Plugshare. And I've been driving an electric vehicle now for almost 4 years, and I keep getting the same questions from a lot of people. A lot of people get an electric vehicle and really don't understand how to sort of navigate that experience. So we're going to start off. Basically, most Tesla vehicles, for the most part, they'll use a supercharger network, and that's part of the new North American charging standard, the NACS. That's the plug that's going to be adopted in North America by most of the OEMs. They're going to follow the Tesla plug format in North America. But Plugshare is really intended to show you a kind of global picture of all the public charging stations that are out there. It'll show you some private ones too, but it's a very important resource even for Tesla owners, and I hope to go through that experience today and in the future. When people ask me about software and how do I know where to charge and all that kind of thing, I can point back to this video. So what is Plugshare? So I'm looking at Wikipedia here, and it's basically a mobile and web application. Provides information on the location and details of charging stations for electric vehicles. Started back in, I think, 2008 or 9. It's all on this page. I won't go through full details, but as of today in 2023, the fall of 2023, it's owned by EVgo, which EVgo is actually one of the charging networks, I believe, in the US. I don't know if they're outside of the US, but I have not seen them in Canada. But anyway, this app, you can run it from your desktop, and you can also run it on your mobile phone, and there are some differences between the two, some subtle differences. So let's just jump right into it. So here I've come to the plugshare.com website on a normal desktop computer, and it wants to know my location. I'll just allow it, and essentially what that does is it kind of zooms into where you're located. So I'm somewhere here around Prince George, so it knows that. So here on the left, you're going to see a bunch of menus, and we'll navigate this in just a moment. Here on the right, you have a language up here. You can pick the language that you want. They've got a drop down of lots of different languages. You can choose your country, the units of measure. I'm going to pick metric because that's what we use in Canada. Also, you can log in if you have an account, and if you do not have an account, you should register. It'll create an account name and password, and that's what you'll use for the desktop and for your mobile. Highly recommend you create an account. You get additional features for doing that, and it remembers all of your settings. Let's go over a few things. We'll go over this menu here in a second, but generally speaking, you have this big map, and I can use the middle mouse wheel if you have that middle scroll wheel on your mouse, and I can scroll up and down, and it zooms in and it zooms out, and it's a map of the world, and yes, it is the whole world, showing all the charging stations located all over the place that have been entered into Plugshare. Now, the interesting thing to note is this data, it's a combination of a number of things. How does a charging station get into Plugshare? Well, it's crowdsourced. So what that means is an individual like myself, I can create a charging station. I can just click somewhere, create a new charging station, put in the details, and tell people, hey, there's a charging station there. It is also added by charging networks. Like here in British Columbia, Canada, on the West Coast, BC Hydro, Ministry of Transportation, and others, they will put these markers on the map when they install new charging stations. So that's kind of giving you a basic idea of how these points get on the map, and it's very useful. So the other thing is there is a legend. What does all this color coding mean? Well, here on the top left hand menu system, I'll click on this little arrow, and it shows you a legend. So green just means a public charging station. This yellow color means these are high speed DC fast charging stations, either 25 kilowatts or higher generally is what I've seen. So yellow is like fast charging, green is level 2 and slower, yellow is level 3 and higher. And then there's, depending on your filter settings, there's this sort of, I don't know what color you call this, brown, and those are restricted charging stations, which means they're generally private, maybe for government or business. They're not really open to the public. Also, when a station like this changes color to a gray color, I don't know if I can see any live ones here on the map that are gray, if I move somewhere. But yeah, here's one right here in Sparwood. You see this is a gray color. That means someone is charging right now. It's in use. Then you have this wrench icon, which when you see a wrench icon, that means it's under construction. So over here you can see Boulder Creek in Kitawanga. That's under construction. So maybe it's being repaired, maybe it's broken, something like that. And then this little house icon means somebody's house. And yes, people can have like level 2 chargers, 240 volts or 220 volts, whatever. And sometimes they'll just say you can use it because maybe in their community there are no public chargers. So sometimes people will add their house to it. And generally speaking, in the notes of that charging area, they'll say, you can only charge from this time to this time because they're sleeping, etc. Or sometimes they'll say, please call me if you're going to charge. So that's residential. And then you have this Plugshare system. So once we get into a charging station, like when I hover over this one, you can see it has that number 10 and it says Prince George Supercharger. So 10 is a scale from, I think, 1 to 10, and 10 meaning the highest quality that many people have charged there. They've entered data into this application to indicate they had a positive charging experience. And so once you have lots of people charging there having a good experience, you get a higher rating. So that's the legend. You have your kilowatt range, and this is the speed of the charger, anywhere from 0 kilowatts all the way up to 350 kilowatts being the sort of the fastest out there. Then again, filters for how many stations that you would like to only show me, places that have 6 or more charging stations. You can also filter on amenities. Only show me charging stations that have dining or restrooms or shopping or whatever your criteria are. Only show me those that are free. These are all filters you can pick. And again, all the settings you change here, if you've logged into your account, they will be saved with your account. And it's really important to look over these settings before you start using the app, because with previous people, they've said, hey, I want to drive north from Prince George, which this is Prince George, and they can't see this charger, they can't see this charger. And that's because their filter settings are hiding them. So important to pick all the things that apply to your vehicle. So we're going to keep looking here. More filters, hide dealerships, show private homes, whatever, a whole bunch of things. Parking, networks, do you only want to charge at certain networks? And why would you pick a filter like that? You might have a special from a company like maybe Ford or GM or something where they give you three years of free charging with a certain network. So anyways, more filters. This next one, vehicle and plugs, very important. So if I open this up, this is key. This is the biggest problem where people are missing or seeing too many chargers. You need to find out the types of plugs your car can charge with. First one here is Tesla, and this is also now called the NACS, North American Charging Standard. That's this plug here. Then you have CCS, so that's most vehicles in North America that are non-Tesla traditionally have used CCS, and this is high-speed charging. Okay, so that's DC fast charging. Then you have CHAdeMO, basically Tesla, Nissan Leafs, and I think maybe a few other vehicles supported CHAdeMO, but it's basically deprecated at this point. No new charging stations generally are going to support CHAdeMO, and yeah. So anyways, then you have J1772. That's just AC charging. That's level 2 or slower. It's what you charge in your garage or at home. And I guess the difference between Tesla and Tesla Fast, this would be the DC fast charging of Tesla, their supercharging network. This other one would be AC Tesla charging, or level 2, things you would find at like a hotel or places like that. They're slower charging. Tesla Roadster, most people will not want that. NEMA 1450, this is essentially the same thing as a stove plug. That's what this is, NEMA 1450. Many electric vehicles can charge on this plug. Now you'll have to check your vehicle. Did you get the adapter that allows you to plug into this? But many people install this plug in their garage, and that's how they charge. I have an adapter for my Tesla, and many other EV manufacturers will have an adapter for theirs. And then there's just a regular wall plug if you want to see those, but that's very slow charging, so you may want to just filter that out, especially for road trips. And then this last one, NEMA TT30. This one's very interesting because this NEMA 1450 and this TT30, both of those plugs you'll find at RV sites. So if you want to charge at like a camping place that has RV plugs, you want to make sure if you have these adapters that you include these, so that if you're charging in a place that doesn't have lots of chargers, these are options as well. All right, so those are your vehicle plugs. You pick your country. You can add charging stations, is just in the menu. You can add them here on the map like I mentioned. The trip planner, I never use Plugshare's trip planner. It's not very great. I use another application called a Better Route Planner, which is definitely the best one that's out there if you actually want to plan a trip. And there's other settings. Basically, once you create an account and register, you can add the make and model of your vehicle, and it should automatically pick some defaults that apply to your car. But again, it may not. And then you select your plugs and you're off to the races. So let's take a look here. I want to turn off Tesla chargers because let's say I drive a Mustang Mach-E, or maybe I drive a Hyundai Ioniq 5 or something like that. They allow charging with CCS. That's the native fast plug that those vehicles have. They do not support CHAdeMO, so I will turn that off. They do have 1772 because that's the top part of this CCS plug. That's what J1772 is. I'll turn off Roadster. And I will leave these RV plugs. I'll assume we have an adapter as well. So now you can see it's filtered out some of those charging stations. And as I zoom in and zoom out, you can see I see more, I see less. Let's say I turn off CCS. You see this one here at McLeod Lake? What happens to it? It disappeared because I've essentially turned off my lifeline to fast charging on my Mustang Mach-E or my Hyundai Ioniq 5. So let's just turn that back on. There they go, and I can see them here. Now let's take a look at McLeod Lake. So once I click on this icon, over here on the left I get details about McLeod Lake. And so I see the charging rating, 9.6 out of 10. That means very high quality. Most people don't have a problem here. Now, when you're using this app and you've registered and logged in and everything, from the mobile app you can check in. I don't know if I can do it from this web. Let's see if it has a menu item down here to do such a thing. Doesn't look like it. So from the mobile app, we'll do another session after this desktop. I'll just go over the main features and then we'll see what's different from the mobile app. So you can see here, actually I can do it from here. I can click this check-in button, and again it wants me to log in. Once you click the check-in, there's a bunch of options. You would pick the vehicle that you're charging with, and then you would pick what type of connector you're charging with, CCS or something else, and then what speed you're getting. And you would indicate whether you had a positive charging experience, a negative one if you had problems, and then there's a comments field that you can say, hey, thanks for the free charging or whatever. Now here on the left, there's a whole bunch of things. You can bookmark this charging station. You can add pictures when you're charging there, and it'll kind of show up here, and there's a collection of photos and information about the site. You can click on directions. It'll pop open your map software and give you directions to that charging station from where you currently are at now. You can report problems with the charging station, and then details are here. It gives you the address, phone number for support for that charging station, tells you if it's free or if you have to pay. This particular one, you have to pay. And this is from BC Hydro. And you can see here down, it's open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. There's EV parking. It's illuminated. And there are two 25 kilowatt DC fast chargers at this location at McLeod Lake. And you will need, and it tells you the price here, 12.23 cents per minute plus GST. And chargers can be activated using the BC Hydro EV app, or you can get an RFID card from BC Hydro once you've created an account with them. They have details here. Anyways, so that's some details. Now I'm going to scroll down. You can see here it shows the types of plugs available at this charging station. So here I have CCS and CHAdeMO. And it tells you the maximum speed here. So under the types of plugs, and you can click more details to see more, but you can see recent check-ins from people. Now this is really valuable and really important. If you're planning a road trip and you're going to an area you've never been before, you want to look at that rating number. You know, if it's a high number, great, that means it's probably reliable. But when is the last time someone has actually checked in and indicated it's working, and what have they said? So it's good to look at these check-ins. And you can see here Brian on a Chevy Bolt on August 21st, so just a few weeks ago, works well, a little out of the way off the highway, etc., but it's working fine. So generally you can see a lot of people have charged successfully here, and you can scroll down and there's a bunch of pictures people have submitted. You can click on them, see what the site looks like. This happens to be a gas station on a native reserve. Great location. I've been there. There's a nice store, really friendly people. I really like this charging station. And that's kind of your high-level summary of what you're going to see on one site. So that really kind of gives you an indication of the basics of what you see in the software. I think if you click this menu thing here, you get back to those filters. I can close this out, and then I can go check another one here. Let's look at Tumbler Ridge. So Tumbler Ridge is green, which means it's not fast charging. It's level 2. Which means it's not DC voltage, it's AC voltage. And it's got high reliability because it's got a rating of 10. You can see over here, you've got the address, parking is free, it's open 24/7. I believe the charging here is free. Doesn't say it here, but when I was there, it was free. And it uses J1772 plug. That's what they have here. So Teslas typically come with an adapter that convert J1772 into the Tesla outlet, and pretty much everyone else just supports J1772. So you can see here plenty of people. Again, here's a Chevy Bolt, and they charged on September 4th. Everything was good, and some pictures, etc. So that's a few examples of what you can expect. And again, you want to look at these check-ins and see, you know, was it a year or more since someone successfully charged here? There could be a problem. Now let's just show the importance of this. So I happen to know if I click on the Village of McBride, it's possible that you can get notifications from any of these charging stations on your mobile phone. We'll talk about that in a video clip after this desktop presentation. But here I click on Village of McBride. It's got a rating of 10. It's pretty solid and a very important charging station heading east from Prince George and heading west from, say, Jasper and coming from Alberta. And this is another BC Hydro station. But when I go down and look at comments, look at this. So as of September 6th, so yesterday, when I click on this, BC Hydro says it's temporarily closed. Be advised that these fast charging are temporarily closed for repairs. They will remain closed until repairs are complete. The technician has been assigned. Thank you for your patience. Normally, when a station is being repaired, they don't put a comment. They change the icon to a wrench, meaning it's under repair. So in this case, the only way I would know this, that it's not up and running, is looking at this check-in comment. So that's what I mean, looking at the check-ins in areas that you're not familiar with, or even if you are. This one's the first fast charger west from Prince George. Actually, there is another one here at Slim Creek, but that's a 25 kilowatt. But this McBride one is a 50 kilowatt charger. Many people rely on it and just by looking at the icon you wouldn't know that it's actually closed right now. So hope that I've given you some food for thought in terms of how this software works, how to kind of navigate these menus. And I'm doing this all from my desktop just to show that you can get information about a road trip just by looking at those stations. And I'm going to flip over and show some demos on a mobile device and just show you some differences and nuances. Okay, so let's continue with our example here. This time we are sharing the screen from my Android phone, and so yeah, good. So similar to on the desktop, if I select something like this charger in McBride on my phone, I get all the details here, and if I want to check in, I would just click on that check-in button and you'll get a bunch of options, and I would pick something like charging now and select some options, or if I wanted to just leave a comment I would pick that, or if I couldn't charge I would pick could not charge, or if I am wanting to register the fact that I charged yesterday or an hour ago, I'd just pick successfully charged and enter the information. I'll cancel that for now and just show some of the differences here. So going back to the map, so up here on the right hand side where they have the sort of three bars beside the search icon, top right icon, I'm clicking on that, and I believe that's going to give me some filter options. So I'm going to pick that, and let's see what we get here. For whatever reason, that's really loading slowly. All right, I think that's showing some of my either my favorites or my recent ones. So I'm just going to exit that, and whoops, let's go back. All right, I'm going to pick something different here. Let's pick my settings, which is that icon halfway down the screen with a blue check mark, and I'll click on that. Okay, and now it's going to give me all those filter settings that we saw on the desktop. So up here I can pick chargers that have a certain score or higher. Right now it's set to 0, so any score. I can pick the minimum kilowatt range and maximum, so I'm just picking the full range from 0 to 350. And again, I can pick the vehicle plugs. You can see here I have CCS Chatamo, J1772, bunch of them, because I have a Tesla vehicle, so I'm also including the Tesla AC charging and the Tesla DC fast charger. Anyway, those are mine, and I can change those to something else. I can pick more plugs, and I'm going to scroll down. Okay, so you can see here it's very similar, and because I'm logged in, any changes I make will be saved with my account. Now, let's look at some interesting differences. So let's say this McBride charger here, the yellow DC fast charger, I'll click on it, and I'll click on that Village of McBride bubble. And once I do that, I come into this menu, and you'll notice a new menu item there, the alerts button. So you see alerts there on the left, add photo, 188 kilometers, and edit. So I'm going to click on the alerts icon. That only shows up on mobile devices. So I click that. Now it gives me notifications. I will be alerted of this McBride charging station if it goes offline, if all the stations are in use, if somebody does a new check-in or adds a new photo, or if a station becomes available. So you can go to any chargers of interest to you, and you can say, like, tell me when the station goes offline, tell me when they're all in use, and get a heads up if you're approaching an area and they're all in use, or if the power goes off or something like that and it goes offline, you can get notified ahead of time. So that could be very useful on a road trip. So those are the alerts, and beyond that, it's kind of the main difference here. You can see here as I scroll down, still that BC Hydro closure. And yeah, so the alerts is an important one to realize. And you can also, if I click the top right icon, the three dots with lines, the share icon, very top right hand corner of the screen here, I can share this charging station with some other application. And for me, because I know this works with my Tesla application, I can scroll down and I can select the Tesla icon there, and it will send the coordinates of that charging station, and my Tesla will, of course, then navigate to that charging station. So all kinds of things you can do. I can also click on the 188 kilometer icon to get directions, just using the regular, Google Maps, or I could use a better route planner or whatever. But you can send information to other apps. And I can add a photo if I click add photo. If I've taken a picture of this site, I can do that from my gallery, or I can take a live picture from the camera, and I can contribute. So crowdsourcing is very important. When you go and use charging stations, please do click that check-in button there in the bottom right-hand corner, and just let people know that you were there. You're helping other drivers know that this station was used recently and it was used successfully, and also what speed you were able to charge at. That all helps with the quality of the whole charging network experience. So anyways, I hope this has been useful for all of you. I hope you've learned something about Plugshare and how it works, both on the desktop and in mobile. And happy EV driving, and have a great day. Thanks. Bye. Thanks for watching the video. If you like what you see on this channel, I would just ask that you click the like button and subscribe to the channel so you can see more like it. Anyways, hope you have a great day, and I'll see you again.